Jimin's eyes traveled to the clock again, 10 p.m. His wife was supposed to be home half an hour ago, but she hadn't been back yet. He sighed, running a messy hand through his hair. He focused on the ongoing sport on the TV screen, trying his best to not think of the worst. Maybe she is stuck in her work. She'll be back soon. He whispered to himself, more to his restless heart. This had happened before as well when she had stayed back to complete her work. Given it was Friday and a long weekend was awaiting ahead, she might be finishing her work to enjoy her days off. Nothing to be worried about. That was what Jimin talked to himself, but he couldn't stop his thoughts from wandering at unwanted junctions. Every minute ticked without her presence intensified his worry tenfold. She hadn't informed about her stay back either, which only fueled his worry further. He darted a look at the clock. Just half an hour, and then he would drive straight to her office. Wyan struggled to keep herself steady, the world around her spinning. She wobbled and leaned on her best friend Nina, who in turn lost her balance and stumbled towards Jay. Wyan, Nina, and Jay were best buddies, a trio of mischief and chaos. They hadn't met in months, but a sudden plan on random Friday evening had them crashing at a lively pub downtown. The meetup, which was supposedly decided for 2 hours, turned into four. The mocktails turned alcoholic when Jay tipped the bartender to surprise them. By 11 p.m., the chaos was in full bloom. The pub was still buzzing with energy, but they had stepped out. Their senses were completely lost, their sanity thrown somewhere in the drunken haze. Jay, I swear to God, if you push me one more time, I'm divorcing you. She slurred, pointing dramatically at Jay, who visibly looked offended. You are not even married to me. Oh, she blinked as if realization was slowly dawning upon her. Thank God, I'm married to Jiminnie, my husband. He smells like Valinda. He is adorable and has ruined my life in the best way. She grinned widely, dreaming about her oh so cute husband. Nina hiccuped, pointing a finger at the space beside Ryan. You are drunk. No, she argued. Her head wobbled and her feet stumbled, throwing her off balance, but she somehow managed to not fall on the floor. I'm not drunk, I'm just emotionally overhydrated. She nodded to herself as if she had made a fair point. Meanwhile, Jay was staring at Nina in a daze. There are four Ninas. He laughed hysterically and stepped forward to hug her, but he ended up embracing the air and thereby face planting himself on the pavement. Ryan and Nina stared down at him for a long moment. He didn't get up, didn't move, just lie there, his head too heavy to make out of his surroundings. I think he is dead, she grumbled, lifting her gaze to Ryan's. Ryan gasped dramatically. Her hand flew to her mouth, eyes widening in shock. Oh no, we have to arrange his funeral, but I don't have money. She crouched beside him and poked his cheek. He groaned and exhaled loudly, but his eyes were still closed. This dead body is breathing, she muttered, looking up at her other best friend. Nina kicked his butt with full force, eliciting yet another painful groan from him. How can you die just like that, huh? I haven't even confessed my feelings to you. Intercourse, you stinky waffle. She kicked him again. This time he moved. He turned around and pushed off the ground, standing tall on his wobbly feet. He poked her nose with his index finger, fumbling with words. Bed. We need a bed for that, you dumb apple pie. Nina wobbled forward, crashing into his chest. Jay lost his already shaken balance but somehow didn't fall. Guys, I kidnapped a car. Come fast. She screamed from them, standing in front of a car with her arms spread out. Soon, Nina and Jay joined her. The annoyed cab driver rolled down his window and peeked his head out. He was about to curse those three drunk nuisances, but halted when he looked at Vian. She looked familiar to him. Then he realized he had dropped her off at her workplace in the morning. Not only that, she bought a few gifts for his daughter when she got to know that it was her birthday. Ma'am, can I help you with something? I wanna go home, she replied instantly. Her two best friends nodded alongside her. Sure, hop in. Ryan smiled ear to ear and looked at her two best friends, her chest swelling in pride. You saw this? He knows me. I'm famous, she stated proudly. Her best friend's come blind supporters clapped for her. Then three of them moved towards the back seat, gaping at it like it was an alien thing. How will we go inside through this small door? He narrowed his eyes towards the open window. Nina, ever so enthusiastic and wannabe smart one, pushed them aside and stepped forward. Move, I'll show you. And she pierced through the small open window, smoothly slid inside but got stuck at her hips. At the same time, Wine clicked the door open. Nina swung along the door, stuck halfway in it. Help! The door is eating me alive. Ryan and Jay shared a look, their expression horrified. They stepped forward to help her out, but as if they had completely lost their brains, pulled her from either side. Ryan tugged at her hands while Jay pulled her legs. Instead of helping her, they added to her distress. She welled in pain. The muscles of her limbs felt cramped, as if they were splitting apart. Use your strength, she screamed, pulling her hands with all her might. Jay did the same, and Nina screamed even louder. The driver, stunned and horrified, stepped out to the rescue, afraid that they would break her into two. I'll help her, you both sit inside. They shrugged and hopped inside. The driver helped Nina out of the window and helped her get inside the car. The driver sighed in relief and hopped in to drive them home. Jimin checked the clock again. 11:30 p.m. No message, no call. Each of his texts or calls went unanswered. He had visited her office only to find out that she had left with her friends hours ago. He had even rung Jay and Nina. They weren't responding either. He knew they were together. He also knew they were creating chaos somewhere in the city. But where? He paced in the living room, phone clutched in his hand, eyebrows stretched in worry. Had they been in an accident, lost their phones, got kidnapped, or worse, kidnapped someone else? He was filled with worry, less for them and more for the people around them. Wherever you are, just be safe. Please be safe. He rubbed his cold hand on his clammy face, but nothing seemed calming. His heart just couldn't stop thudding in panic. His hands were shaking, he was sweating profusely. He grabbed his car keys, wore his shoes in haste. Just as he was about to step out, the doorbell rang. His heart picked its pace as he rushed to the door and opened it, expecting to see his wife, safe and sound. There she was, disheveled, makeup smudged, one shoe missing, shirt crinkled and half tucked into the pants, her handbag hanging on her neck, clutching a traffic cone like it was scared. When her eyes met his, she grinned widely and spread her arms wide, dropping the cone in the process. Hi, Jiminnie. Surprise! She launched herself into his arms, giggling. He scratched his nose in disgust. She reeked of alcohol. He held onto her wobbly body with one hand, steadying her. Behind her stood a devastated man, looking like he had fought a war. Jimin stared at him in confusion, his grip tightening on her in protection. Who are you? Then the taxi driver narrated the whole story, from getting hired by her in the morning to finding her on the road till dropping her off. Jimin sighed in relief. At least she was safe, and the taximan was generous enough to drop her home, or else the world was a cruel place. Where are the other two? The man sighed in exhaustion and looked back at his car. Jimin followed his gaze, and there they were, peeking out of the window. As soon as they saw Jimin looking at them, they smiled widely and waved their hands. Hi, Jiminnie. Wyatt stood silently, tucked beneath his chin, twirling the button of her shirt. She only looked back when her friends called out and waved back at them excitedly. Jimin shook his head, disappointed but not surprised. Paid a generous amount to the taxi driver, which he denied, but took it when Jimin insisted. Please drop them home safely. I'll be really grateful, and thank you for bringing my wife back home. Though a thank you isn't enough to show my gratitude, still thank you so much. And I'm sorry for the trouble you had to face because of them. He bowed, forcing Wyan to bow along with him. The taxi driver soon left, taking the two minions along who were screaming like kindergartners. His wife was no less. Do something! He kidnapped my friends, Nay, Gina. Jimin rolled his eyes and dragged her inside despite her refusal. He dropped her on the couch, darting a pointed look at her. He will drop them home. Now stop screaming, will you? Vine instantly stopped and looked up at him, her lips puckering in a pout. She sprawled on the couch like it was her throne. With her rosy pink cheeks and red nose, she looked adorable. But Jimin wasn't liking it. Seeing her in the state, drunk and careless, had turned his initial concern into anger. How could she be so careless when she knew it could be dangerous? Anything could have happened to them, every possibility worse than the last. He was worried sick, and she was out there, lounging in the streets with her friends. How irresponsible! He crossed his arms, glaring down at her. Seriously? I've been trying to reach you for hours. Do you have any idea how worried I was? She pouted and batted her eyes innocently. I was enjoying with my friends, and I don't like your tone right now. Don't scold me. Jimin sighed in exhaustion. He was tired after a long day at work, and this whole ordeal had tensed up his shoulders even more. What if something had happened to you? You, you would save me, I know, because you love me. She said dramatically and tried to get up. She failed twice but got up at the last. She grinned and booped his nose. Also, I missed you, like a lot. Despite his frustration, a small smile twitched on his lips. She was hopeless, but adorable enough to melt his anger. She squeezed his cheeks together. Don't look mad, please. You look so cute like this when you pout, like a mochi with mommy issues. Her drunken talk didn't make sense but managed to make him chuckle. He decided to let go of his anger for now. His wrath could wait till morning when she would be sober enough to answer him, not distract him with her silly talks. Okay, time for bed, he declared, swiping off her hands from his face. She gave him a look, pleading puppy eyes and jutted out lips. He raised her brow. Carry me, no. Piggyback, no. Roll me, fine. Okay, I'll just walk, she mumbled sadly, but she, being seen, dragged her feet towards the kitchen instead of bedroom. Jimin ended up carrying her halfway. The next morning, Vyan woke up feeling like she got run over by a truck. Her body ached badly. Her head spun like thousands of nails had been hammered into it. Groaning, she got up. She pressed her fingers to her temples, wincing as even moving her head felt like a task itself. I feel like shit. The bed was empty and so was the room. Jimin was nowhere in her sight. Besides, She couldn't remember a thing about last night. She remembered heading to a pub and donning mocktails with her friends. The events after that were forgotten memories. She threw off the comforter and rose from the bed. As she stood on her feet and took a step ahead, she hissed. Every step felt like a straight hit to her head. She dragged herself to the kitchen. Jimin was silently making coffee, face unreadable. When he felt her presence, he threw a glance at her. She forced a smile, but he didn't reciprocate it. Hey, good morning, she started, voice raspy. Her throat felt tight and strained. Each word felt painful, like a needle pricking through her skin. He didn't respond, didn't look at her, just stirred his coffee. She frowned at his lack of acknowledgement. Jimin, still nothing. His cold shoulder hit harder than her hangover. She couldn't understand why he was not talking to her. Did she do something? Are you seriously giving me a silent treatment? When you can do things you like, I can act upon my wishes. His voice, firm but cold, tugged at her heart. What had she done to bring out this side of him, the indifferent side that she despised most? Look, Jimin, I'm already feeling awful. Can you not talk in circles and come to the point directly? She took a seat on one of the stools, unable to stand for long. He put the cup down and turned to face her. You were drunk last night. Wasted if I explain it precisely. So, she frowned in confusion. How was that a problem? She had been drunk before as well, and it was never a problem. Then why now? So, seriously? He scoffed, drawing his brows together in disbelief. You were drunk, Ryan. An unknown man dropped you off last night. Do you have any idea how careless you acted? How worried I was? I didn't expect this level of irresponsibility from you. His concerns were justified, so was his anger, but it ate Ryan. The headache brewing behind her eyes only added fuel to the fire, and Jimin calling her irresponsible was the last blow. You have no right to call me that when you yourself couldn't come to pick me up. The one who is irresponsible here is you. She snapped back, her words as sharp as knife pierced through his heart. He fell silent, his shoulders hunched, his face blank but internally a storm brewed in silently. Jimin decided it was better for him to leave before the argument could turn ugly. He forwarded a bowl of soup towards her. This is hangover soup. Drink it or throw it away. I don't care. And do not come after me. I might say something hurtful. He threw one last glance at her and stormed off. Wine blinked, staring at his retreating back. Did they just fight? What supposed to be a peaceful weekend was all ruined already, leaving behind a bitter feeling in her mouth. Jimin glared at the screen playing who knows what. His jaw clenched tight, eyes red from anger, yet he looked utterly calm. Wine was sprawled on a single couch across from him. The hangover soup had worked. Her headache had subsided, but she still felt like she had been doing physical labor for months. As the clouds of drunken haze disappeared, she thought about the situation more rationally. Jimin was right at his spot. She would have reacted the same if she were in his shoes. And instead of apologizing for her wrongdoings, she threw attitude and sharp words. If he were only angry earlier, now he was hurt too, and both the times she was responsible. Guilt-ridden, she curled inside her throw blanket, staring at his face. He looked angry, and it made her scared to even make a sound. If she was scared of anything, it was his anger, which rarely surfaced. He was a lovely, caring, and romantic husband, never raising his voice even if she was deliberately getting on his nerves. The only time he got angry was when she participated in a bike race behind his back and ended up with an injured spine. He took care of her but didn't speak to her for weeks. Thinking about the times made her eyes sting with tears. She sniffed loudly, groaning afterwards. My head hurts. She spoke, observing him from the corner of her eye. He shifted in his spot, but his gaze didn't waver from the screen. First failed attempt. She thought for some time and tried again. My entire body aches. No response again. He sat stiff as if she wasn't even there. Her face fell, sadness crept in. His lack of response made her feel more awful. Jimin, no turning of eyes, no tilting of the head, no yes, no nothing. He didn't even twitch slightly. Maybe a coffee would help. Smiling at the idea, she pushed off the couch. Her legs trembled as she made her way towards the kitchen. Her body felt warmer than normal. Her eyes burned. All these symptoms insinuated towards the upcoming fever, but she stood firm with her decision. She brewed a coffee, taking her time to make it the best coffee he had ever had. By the time she returned from the kitchen, Jimin was standing near the front door, putting on his shoes. Her smile slowly vanished when he grabbed his car keys and went out, slamming the door shut. He had left without a word. For a long moment, she just stood there in the intense silence of his absence. She looked down at the coffee mug in her hands. Tears stung her eyes, realizing she had messed up pretty badly this time. She curled up under the blanket, guilt and sadness consuming her. She wanted to apologize, but he left before that. Warm, thick tears rolled down her cheeks, shocking in the sheets beneath. With every sob, her throat ached. It felt like she had swallowed a sandpaper. She was burning with fever. Her body felt like it was set on fire. Every muscle hurt, every twitch stung. He's mad, really mad, and I deserve it. She sobbed, curling tighter beneath the blanket as if it could shield her from the consequences of her own actions. Her head pounded, and her body trembled from the sickness, but her head hurt ached even more. How did a fun night spiral into this? Why did everything mess up to this extent? She spent an hour crying over her misery, regretting her words, and rebuking herself for being reckless. Had she been a little careful, they would be cuddling on the couch and watching a movie. It hadn't been long before she heard movements from downstairs. Jimin was back. She should have been running on her toes, but she didn't, too guilty to face him. Until she heard soft footsteps ascending the stairs, followed by the sound of the bedroom door opening. Jimin was there here. She could feel it. Before she could peek, the blanket was yanked off her. Jimin stood before her, a tray in hand. On it, a bowl of steaming soup, a glass of water, and medicine. Get up, he demanded, staring down at her. The tears gathered in her eyes. Despite being angry, he still cared. He didn't leave her to cry on her actions. Get up. His voice softened slightly as he took in her tear-stained face. She gulped and sat up slowly. He settled beside her and kept the tray in between them. He pressed his palm against her forehead. His eyebrows twitched when he felt her burning skin. The back of his hand then brushed against her neck, which felt equally hot. You are burning. Eat up and have medicine. He jerked his chin towards the tray, but her gaze didn't falter from his face. She sniffed, controlling her tears, but they flowed freely. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jimin. Her words broke into loud sobs. Her voice came out hoarse and painful. Jimin's eyes shifting closer. He wiped her face with his handkerchief. Don't cry. You'll worsen your health like this. But the tears wouldn't stop. She shook her head, holding his hand with both hands. She brought it to her trembling lips, pressing a kiss on it. I'm not against you hanging out with your friends. All I ask you to inform me, so that I wouldn't die worrying about your whereabouts. I would have picked you up if you had told me where you were going. But that made Ryan pause. She blinked as if registering his words. But I did. I informed you before heading out with them, she replied, confusing Jimin. No, you didn't. Why would I be worried if you had informed me? That awakened Ryan's senses. She went into defensive mode instantly. Leaving his hand, she reached for her phone. How can this be possible? I sent you a text. She ignored the countless texts and calls notifications from last night and checked for the evidence. She paused. She had typed the text. It was there. Heading out with Nina and Jay. Please pick me up in 2 hours from the Sunset Pub. Love you. But in rush and excitement, she forgot to hit the send. So the text she thought she sent Jimin was never received by him. He was worried sick until she showed up at the door at midnight. Her lips trembled and a sheen of fresh tears covered her eyes. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. You were right. I'm irresponsible. First, I troubled you last night, and instead of apologizing, I was being a bitch to you. I'm so sorry, Jiminnie. Will you stop crying or shall I join you? She looked up, tears streaming down her face. She looked guilty and embarrassed. No, it's all my fault. I won't blame you even if you hate me now. That had Jimin slapping his forehead in disbelief. His wife was a crazy potato. Sometimes her talks didn't make sense to him. I was upset, but I could never hate you, Ryan. You scared me last night. I didn't know where you were. I imagined the worst. And when you didn't take accountability of your actions, it made me angry. I am sorry. I should have been careful. I thought I informed you, but I'm really sorry. It was my fault. She whispered, voice cracking. He chuckled, cupping her face gently. The skin beneath his palms burned. He gently brushed off the dampness on her cheeks. You are lucky you are cute. She sniffled, shocking in the warmth of his hands. Even now, when I'm being a brat, she asked, her voice a mere whisper. Especially now, when you acknowledge, accept, and promise to do better. Even if you are a brat, you are mine in all senses. She giggled but winced immediately when her throat hurt. Come on, eat. I went to get your favorite mushroom soup from that place near the market. Drink it up when it's still warm. He handed her a spoon. She took a bite. Warmth spread through her chest. He was thoughtful enough to bring her favorite meal, even if she made him angry. What more should she could ask for? She blinked back her tears and smiled at him. You didn't have to do all this. She received a mock glare from him. I did because I love you, even when you forgot, even when we argue. My love for you is way above these petty misunderstandings. It would never waver, even if you come home with the shoe missing. Her cheeks burned with humiliation. Jimin pressed his lips to hold back his laughter. Can you just forget it and pretend it never happened? Well, we can pretend. Doesn't mean it never happened. He chuckled when she groaned in embarrassment. After that, she silently drank her soup, still mortified. After swallowing the bitter medicine with a glass of water, Jimin tucked her into bed. He kissed her head, smiling softly. As he got up to let her rest, she tugged at his wrist. Jimin raised an eyebrow, looking down at her. Are you okay? Do you need anything? She shook her head, giving him a tired smile. Just you, she whispered softly, pulling him back to his previous spot. Without a word, he kissed her forehead and got into the covers beside her, pulling her in a gentle embrace. You just have to ask. She buried her face in his chest, exhaling softly. I'm sorry once again, and thank you for the soup. He kissed on top of her head. Thank you for being mine, even if you are high maintenance when you are sick. She whined and poked his ribs. Say that again and I'm putting ketchup in your shampoo. He grinned, looking down at her. He brushed his lips on her forehead. God, I love you. I love you too.